What's up, YouTube? All right, so I am ready to sound off. I'm ready to sound off because on March 24th, All Lives Matter decided to walk for gun control, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But let me talk about something that nobody is talking about. And I do have inside information on my social media. I've never said where I work, where I live, so there's no self-identifying information about me. Neither do I care. I don't care about the persecution related to this video. I do not care anymore. Let's talk about this movement. Jesus's life matters. Okay? If you want to talk about what's going on in the world, in the nation that I live in, the country I live in, let's talk about the opioid crisis. Let's talk about the fact that big pharma, let's talk about the fact that when a child is going through a situation, a mental health issue, if a child is struggling at home, if they go to their counselor and they go to their parent and their parent says, okay, let's work out a plan. Let's get them counseling. And the kid says, okay, yeah, you think they're going to protect you? No, that's not what's happening. You've got 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds that the psychologists, the nurse practitioners, and this is across the entire state. This is everywhere. The opioid crisis and what's going on is completely directly related to the fact that doctors and nurses and everyone, they're giving these children controlled substances. They're getting them addicted to medications like Seroquel. The side effects from these medications, from these major mental health diagnoses that they put on kids, and yes, they do make big money. They make big money for giving these kids diagnosis. The adult health home industry is on the rise. Mental illnesses are on the rise. And we see children as young as 3, even 2 years old. No, they can't give them anything at 2. They might give them something at 4. And yes, they do. Okay, and then you have a bunch of children out of control, which results into the kids being affected at school. Okay, bad parenting, things going on at home. They're affected at school. They go shoot up the place. And you know what? Who's to blame for the opioid crisis? You want to talk about a movement? Let's talk about the fact that when you are a Christian working in one of these industries, working with these children and these families, and the opiate withdrawal symptoms that the child goes through, and they talk to their counselor about it, oh, just go ahead and drug them up. Go ahead and give them another diagnosis, and then throw some more medication in their face, because guess what? They make more money. They make bigger money. The more money we can get off these folks, the better. They're not really trying to get them any help. Okay? So I'm going to talk about very, very quickly, in my opinion, what I feel like what we should be talking about. The fact that when you're a believer and you're on the job and you can't even speak out and tell these families about Jesus. Why? Because we receive state funds and you receive state funds, and therefore they don't want you to mention anything because you can get your state funds removed, or you could lose your job. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that Christians are being muffled today. We can't even speak out. We can't even talk about what's going on, and we fight for these kids. We fight for their families. And the number one issue that America's talking about right now is gun control. Okay, it goes beyond that. What about that person who shot the place up and they drugged him up? I'm speaking out for my aunts, my uncles, family members who have been drugged by therapists, by counselors, and all they were going through was some sadness, suicidal thoughts. These medications will give you suicidal thoughts. Okay? I'm not here to expose anybody specifically. And I definitely am not here to start a crusade, for Christians. I'm not singling out gays or anybody like that, homosexuals. I'm bringing awareness to what's really going on here. There are some other things going on behind the school shooting that we should be talking about. The opioid crisis is over $500 billion right now in revenue, and America is paying for. Why? The FDA approves a lot of these drugs and addictive controlled substances. It's time to start speaking out. I am just one person, but if you feel strongly about this movement, let's talk about this. Jesus' life matters. It's time to unleash the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ himself. He's given me insight into what's going on, and I am not going to sit back. Okay, it's not just knowledge. It affected my family personally. It has affected people that I know personally, and these people can't recover. They're addicted to heroin. Okay, it started out as a painkiller, and now it's gotten bigger. You know, I had somebody in my life, and he died over a drug overdose. And I remember I met him, and he was so addicted. Okay, he got connected to a church, but eventually he did overdose on heroin. Okay, but initially, if you go back and trace his life, okay, he initially received the addiction from, number one, a referral from the school, okay, and then to a counselor, okay, and if you are participating in this drug addiction and the opioid crisis, okay, and you're not allowing Christians on the job to speak out. Everything I say is from a Christian perspective. We're going to talk about this more. I have a lot to say. Go ahead, subscribe. We have started a new movement. Jesus' life matters. It's time to bring Jesus back into this world and stop muffling Christians. God bless.